Grade 8.
What up, everybody? It's your boy Musa, back here with another episode of PICK6 podcast. I'm here with my guy Peso and Mike. How's everyone doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
Good.
Doing phenomenal, man. It's great to see another day. We got some great college football talk for you guys today. We're going to talk about the updated college football playoff bracket, the recent games this past weekend. You know, we have some upsets, some potential catbird seat games for some college teams. And we have a new team in the top 4 for the college football playoff. So we're going to get right into it, y'all. We're going to get right into the college football playoff bracket. For those watching, make sure you like and subscribe. You know, tell a friend to tell a friend. And, you know, come join us, talk some good sports football with us. So without further ado, let me show.
Man, who we starting off with first?
With this college football bracket.
Who we starting off with?
The choice is yours, man. Here we are. We got the bracket right here for everyone that's watching. Of course, we got some new names up there.
Musa, I feel like we got to start it off with Kansas and BYU.
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. BYU's now at 12, and you know they lost Kansas, so we can talk right into it. Pace, what's your thoughts on that BYU Kansas game?
All I'm gonna say is right now, man, I'm all in on Colorado. After seeing what Kansas did to BYU, held them to what, 17 points, 16 points?
13
points, my apologies, 13 points. Kansas had 16 or 17. To basically manhandle them on the speed end, because BYU was known as a speed team, offensively at least, especially that quarterback. I think this was a game that came down to coaching. Kansas was Kansas at home?
No, I was in BYU.
It was at BYU.
That's the scary thing. But I'm all in on Colorado, man. I guess I watched BYU against Utah, and that kind of like, I think Mike, you mentioned it too about like the points that they was putting up or the amount of points that Utah put up against them. It just wasn't it wasn't gonna fit well with this matchup this past week with Kansas. So to see what Kansas did to them this past week, it wasn't too alarming. But I'm all in on Colorado. I think they're gonna handle Kansas next week. I don't think it's gonna be a stretch, but it's gonna be close.
I just want to make it known to everyone that I was predicting a Kansas upset over Colorado before this BYU game, and I was getting blood for it, to say the least, saying really Kansas and all this stuff, and then they go out and beat undefeated BYU, and I think they're going to beat Colorado this week. But here's the thing: I think Colorado could still get into the championship game. I could see BYU losing out with them losing to Iowa State and Arizona State this week for sure. I think you could see. I think Arizona State's going to get into that Big 12 championship game. It's just a matter if BYU can beat Iowa State or not. I think Colorado will probably handle business against Oklahoma State as well. Basically, with the game this past week, though, great pooch punt by Jalen Daniels got lucky that it hit off the wide receiver or cornerback at the time, but the gunner's head. But it was a close game. BYU's been escaping games like this all year, and they just came out on the wrong side. I think the Big 12 conference, hand down, is the weakest conference in all of college football. But if BYU can beat Arizona State this week, that'll be a good win on the resume, and I expect them to jump back up over Boise State if that does happen.
You think the Big 12 is the weakest? What about the Sun Belt?
No, weakest of the Power 4 conferences.
Okay.
The Power 4. I'm sorry about that. I should have clarified.
I know, Mike, you did catch some slander with Kansas beating Colorado. That's because they're not going to. But I heard a lot about Colorado got to have to see BYU, and I'm like, I've been trying to tell y'all for weeks now. Colorado's going to run the table. They're going to get in because they're going to finish out the schedule and they're going to win the conference championship. And then the noise about Dion probably going to Dallas to coach the Cowboys and all that stuff is going to be even more bigger. I don't think he's going to, but all the noises are going to be even heightened. And I think Colorado gets in. Now where they're seated and who they play and whether they advance is a discussion for another day.
Well, here's the thing: if Colorado wins out and they win the Big 12 championship game, depending on who they play, Arizona State, BYU, they're gonna be in one of the top 4 seeds. So they're gonna have a bye week in that first round for sure.
Think so?
Oh
No,
yeah, for
definitely.
sure.
Yeah, Boise State is not staying there.
Yeah, for sure.
So all right, let's say to add on to what you just mentioned, Peso. Let's say Colorado does win out like I've been predicting, and Boise State does the same, and they win their conference. Boise State still doesn't get a bye.
Well, the thing is, what Mike just mentioned, I believe they do it off of the top 4 power conferences in college football. So the Big 12, that's why BYU was always up in that 4th spot because they were part of the Big 12. And I think the Boise State's in the Sun Belt, if I'm correct, right?
No, they're in the
Mountain West. My apologies. So if Colorado wins out, yeah, that Big 12 would take that slot.
It comes down to the AP at that point. If the Group of 5 team, which is all the minor conferences, is ranked higher than one of the Power 4 conferences, they automatically will get that bye.
Yeah.
And then with Boise State, as of right now, they're slated to play Colorado State in the Mountain West Championship game. That's not going to help them at all. They're a product of the schedule. Colorado State, we saw what Colorado did to them, and Texas. They're not a good team.
I think Boise State beats Colorado State.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's going to be a wipe. That's going to be a wipe slate. But you know the AP polls and stuff like that. That's definitely going to play a factor if Colorado beats BYU or even Arizona State in the Big 12 championship game.
But if UNLV, they're ranked 23, I believe right now, gets into that Mountain West Championship game, that will help them, and then they will be in the conversation to stay at 4. But as you're talking about Colorado, I think you should go back and look at the teams they've played. They haven't played really. They've played the bottom feeders of the Big 12. I think whether they play Arizona State, BYU, either one of those teams, I think they lose to them in the championship game. But we'll see what happens. I don't think any of these teams are really all that great. But as I said, we'll see. I think Kansas usually puts up more numbers than they did against BYU, but their defense showed out. But that could just be BYU not having it in the tank too.
Fair enough. I would also like to add that I believe that if Boise State and Colorado will do win out, I don't know. I know I hear you guys about the Power 4 stuff because that makes sense, but I don't see Miami winning the ACC. So then could it be a possibility that maybe the voters go, no, we can put a Mountain West team in there along with the Big 12 championship team, and then we go on from there. But we'll see.
Yeah, and then you still watch out for teams like SMU, especially in that conference.
So that's exactly what I was going to pivot to because I want to hear you guys' thoughts about how SMU is still not in the top 12 yet.
They almost.
If you believe they should be there, you guys. Who should come out?
One thing I want to point out: they almost lost to BC last week in a close one.
Shout out to the Eagles
in a real close one. I wouldn't take out nobody off of this list as of right yet for a swap with SMU. If I did, it would be in their own conference with Miami, and that's just because of the games I've seen them play this year. I watched a lot more Miami than I did at SMU. But as of right now, I wouldn't swap them out for any other team besides them. But I wouldn't put them right there in that second slot with a bye week.
Here's where stuff's going to get tricky. So SMU's only loss right now is to BYU. So if they did win the Big 12, that's going to be very, very awkward for SMU. Boise State, why they're ranked so high, is their only losses to Oregon, and they outplayed them. So with them being number one, the committee's going to put a lot of stock in that. But teams to replace Miami, without a doubt, I think you can only get one team out of the ACC in this playoff. And then another team, but we got to throw out What if Ohio State loses to Indiana this weekend? I don't think it'll happen, but hey, who knows? That could happen. What if Texas loses to Texas A&M? Those are two teams right there that we could see fall out.
And that's another big matchup you got to watch for, because if Texas loses, I believe Texas gets slid out of there because, well, no, they'll have 2 losses. It's crazy, man, because just last week we seen Tennessee in here, and they lost to Georgia. And look who's back.
I was about to say, look who's back in there now. Like I try to tell y'all, boy.
Look who's back in the mix, man. So, like we've been saying week to week these past 3 weeks since we've been covering college football, man, this stuff is changing.
I didn't even realize that's the team that's not there no more. Because I was looking at this earlier when I had some downtime at work. I was like, who am I missing that's not there that was there but previous? Tennessee is one of those teams. Because for obvious reasons they lost to Georgia. But I think SMU should be up there. I know they almost lost to my Eagles, but at the same time, I just feel as if any team, I think it was too easy for Georgia to get back in. I know they beat Tennessee, who's up there, but I feel like SMU deserves at least to have the nod to be up there. I feel as if 2 teams that's knocking on the door to get in. So we also see the 12 that can make it. The 13 and 14 teams will be the SMUs and Colorados. I know Colorado on the AP rankings at 16, but I believe with them winning out, they should be able to get in. I don't think Indiana's going to stay in this 12-man race. I believe they're going to lose to Ohio State. And, of course, I believe SMU and Colorado will win, so that's going to bump them up even further.
Wait, so you think with Indiana losing to Ohio State, you still don't think they'll make the playoffs?
No.
I don't know about
the only way that happens is if BYU loses also this week, in my opinion. I feel like that's what should happen, but I think they might get the benefit of that because it'll be their first loss.
I mean, that'll be wild if that happens, but you got teams like Georgia still making it.
But that goes back to what we talked about last week, the favoritism with the I told you guys, Georgia's going to be back in there.
I don't see it. I just don't see it happening. Because who does Indiana play after Ohio State?
I can look it up right now. Actually,
I don't think with them just losing to Ohio State, they're going to be kicked out of this 12.
One thing you got to remember too is I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, the SEC bias." I heard there's going to be a Big Ten bias this year. Yes, their strength schedule could have them be out, but they've blown out teams, and if they can keep it even close to Ohio State and lose, I don't see Indiana falling out at all. But look at the weird things the committee's doing. Alabama, I believe, they moved up a spot or 2 and they beat Mercer. How do you move up from beating Mercer?
Trust me, I was going to get on that too. That's why we here, man. If you're watching the show, like and subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Leave a comment while we're live. We are going over the college football playoff bracket as we speak right now.
They're giving a great
take it away with we'll continue on to Alabama because I don't see how Bama moved up. They didn't have that impressive of a win against Mercer. If we could touch base on their schedule in a minute. I'm just pulling up the Indiana schedule right now. So they got Ohio State, then they play Purdue.
They're not losing to Purdue.
No, with just one loss, Indiana's still going to arguably crack this top 12.
Purdue's one of the worst teams in the country, man. They're right there with Kent State, Charlotte.
I mean, depending on what happens, they might stay right where they're at.
Ooh, Bama got Oklahoma, then they got Auburn.
Yeah. Both their name schools and teams.
Yeah, Auburn always is a tough match early in the games because it's just an SEC rival. That's always like gonna be a start off game to be tough.
I think the only team that's really, really safe right now in this bracket and that have shown that for the past few weeks is Oregon. Probably the only team
they should have lost. They should have lost this week.
They had a close one.
I'm not gonna lie. I think they're low-key frauds, but that's just me. I don't believe in them at all.
If it shows, it's definitely going to show in playoffs this year.
But that varies on who they go up against, though. Based on the matchups, like the last game is Washington. They should win that game, but I just don't believe in them. I really don't. They got to prove it to me.
I think they're just as good as any other team in this bracket and any other team in the country, but they're not head and shoulders above anyone. One thing that just totally threw me off, and I told you this guy at the group chat, you have a Heisman candidate at QB, and I think it's a crazy call to go for it there. But screw it. Let's put the ball in the punter's hands and run it up the middle. A guy who doesn't hold on to the ball normally, he's probably not that athletic of a guy. If you're going to go for it, just put Dylan Gabriel in the offense out there. That's crazy.
No, I 100% agree with that. We have some questionable play calling, and I think that's going to be the down. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm not sold on them. Like, their biggest win was against Ohio State, and that was
close.
Yeah, 1 point win that could have went either way. So missed some questionable play calling at the end, and then other than that, they haven't really played nobody, in my opinion. I mean, you play who's in front of you, right? So I'm not going to diminish them like too far to an extent. But I just gotta see to believe. Like, they gotta show me they can take care of business when it matters most. I'm looking at Penn State's schedule because that's another team I'm iffy on if they could continue out. But looking at their schedule, they should win out. They got Minnesota and Maryland. So I don't know.
This playoffs is pretty much a lock. I feel like teams like BYU.
I think Ole Miss might not make it.
Yeah, teams like Ole Miss, because I think they got two big games coming up. Teams like Texas, I think those three teams is just the ones that's, in my opinion, is not really safe right now. Miami's gonna get in, and I unfortunately I think SMU is gonna end up missing out this year.
Ole Miss has Florida and Mississippi State.
Florida's a tough game right now.
I was gonna say I don't know that's gonna be an easy game.
Yeah, both of those games are going to be pretty tough.
As long as DJ Lagway's healthy, Florida's not the same Florida team that they were earlier this year. And one thing, too, with Miami, they're only putting them over SMU because they project them to beat them. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if SMU beats Miami. That Miami defense is terrible. And look at how many close calls they've had. They have close calls like BYU. They're a completely different team than them, but I could definitely see Miami being left out of this.
For sure, Jennings. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about OG Kevin Johnson from NBA, man. Shout out to KJ. But now Kevin Jennings is a phenomenal quarterback for SMU. I think he's going to do some good things, potentially at the pro level. I think SMU can beat Miami. I think it's not a far-fetched either. I also agree with that. Another team pacer that could be on the lookout watch of getting bounced out potentially is Notre Dame. They have a tough game this week, but then they have USC to end this regular season off. But they do play Army this weekend, which Army won't be a slouch. So I think they should be able to hold on to that game, come a 10-point win maybe. But that's a game they got to look out for.
Yeah, that Army game, I'm interested to see. I haven't watched Army at all this year, but Notre Dame's been picking it up since for like the past couple of weeks now and kind of manhandling teams and stuff like that. They haven't really played nobody, but I wouldn't call this really a test for Notre Dame, but more so of a confirmation, I guess, because Army's undefeated right now.
One thing with Army is they play a very like a service academy style of ball. The Dolphins have actually tried using it the past 2 weeks, and the Chiefs have done it a lot this year. It's basically we're going to control time of possession, and you're going to have to score when you get the ball. If not, you're not going to get it back for 7 minutes. Bryson Daly, he's basically like a fullback, a quarterback. I believe he's second to Ashton Genty with rushing touchdowns in the country. He's a powerful kid. I think against North Texas, they only threw the ball like 4 or 5 times, and they still were able to win the game, and he does it on the ground. I think this will be similar, though, to the Navy game, because I think the highest ranked team that Army's played so far, I believe, is ranked 96. So I think Notre Dame should be able to handle them pretty easily.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Mike.
If Notre Dame loses either one of these 2 games, though, they are out after losing to NIU. That is a bad loss on this schedule, with them not really playing any teams other than Texas A&M that I can remember off the top of my head.
I agree.
Yes, I agree. Another team I want to talk about real quick is we got Colorado. I just seen the title. Colorado's in the catbird seat. Do you guys? I know we touched on it a little earlier, but even if because based on what we talked about with this current 12, seems like even if they went out, it still might be tough for them to make it in. You guys know how I feel about it, but I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on what happens if they don't win out. I mean, if they win out and they don't make it in. What do you guys thoughts would be about that?
Well, given how the standings are right now, and I think Mike mentioned it earlier a little bit, but if Colorado wins out, given that they're the second highest seed in the Big 12 conference right now, they automatically get a berth in the playoffs, but they have to win the Big 12 championship game, I believe.
Yeah, I don't see them putting them.
I think the difference is that if BYU was to lose again, then I think Arizona State might take BYU's place, not in the playoffs, but in the championship game to face Colorado. That's kind of how I see it playing out. I think BYU may lose one more game. Colorado slides down to that spot in the playoffs, and I think it might be Colorado and Arizona State in the Big 12 championship game. And I think Colorado, depending on the status of Scatterbo, that running back over there in Arizona State, I think they handle business.
I honestly could see BYU losing out. I'm not going to lie here. They've been lucky to be where they are this year. As I said earlier, I think either one of these teams would beat Colorado in the championship game, especially Arizona State. But if Colorado wins out, they're definitely going to get in. But short of that, I don't see them getting in. But one thing I definitely see is I think Travis Hunter is – I don't see how you give the Heisman to anyone else if we're not making this a team award. I think he sealed it up this past weekend. I know some of the plays weren't in the biggest moments and the interception was deflected. But when I saw him this weekend, I thought I was watching Justin Jefferson play on two sides in a college game. So I don't see how you don't give him the Heisman while we're on Colorado. I figured I'd mention that.
So you think, Mike, that you think if Colorado and Arizona State go against each other in the Big 12 championship, you think Arizona State wins that game?
Yes, I do. Because you got to look here. They lost to Nebraska. And they lost to Kansas State. Kansas State's not that good a team. Nebraska's shown to be better at points, but I can't really buy in on who they faced. FCS North Dakota State in the first game there. That's a one possession game against an FCS team. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying they can't do it, but I'm just saying I personally don't think they're gonna get in. But
now, can I also say that it was kind of early in the season? They were still getting everything put together. Because I also can, and we can say for all the teams, right? But I also want to realize and understand that team earlier in the season is not the team that they are now. If you watched them, they have grown tremendously on both sides of the ball. There's still some question marks, obviously. But I just think the team that they are now, I think they should be able to win against Arizona State. If they was to play Kansas State again, I think they will beat Kansas State. Same with Nebraska, because Nebraska's fell off a cliff. I think they ran into Nebraska when Nebraska was at its peak this season. So I agree with Travis Hunter being the Heisman at this point. And I'm heavy on thinking that Genty should get it, but like I said in the past, I can't ignore what Travis is doing. He's playing both sides of the ball at an elite level in college football, and he's doing it at a level where no one else is doing it at currently. There's only been a handful of players that have been able to do what he's doing in college football. So
another thing I want to mention too, we talk about schedule. Arizona State pretty much played the same quality of teams that Colorado did. I mean, they did beat Kansas State last week, but they also lost to Texas Tech earlier in the season.
I do know Mike believes Kansas will beat Colorado this weekend, and the last game for Colorado was Oklahoma State.
I don't know what Arizona State's strength of schedule is, but I looked it up last week. I believe BYU is in the 70s someplace, around 76, and Colorado's around the high 80s or 90s. But I do not know offhand where Arizona State is. But I know we touched on it earlier, and before we move on from Colorado, what do you guys see in the future for Dion here? I'm curious to get your opinions on it. Do we see him staying in college? Do we see him staying at Colorado? Do we see him moving on to the NFL, whether it be a head coach or a coordinator? Just want to hear y'all's thoughts on it.
I think he stays. I can't remember his name, but it was a 5-star recruit quarterback who was initially going to USC. He just decommitted, and his top 2 schools was USC before he committed to them and Colorado. And I think with him decommitting from USC, he's more likely going to end up in Colorado. I haven't watched much of him, so I don't know how legit he is because he is a 5-star quarterback. I think him going there with Shador going out this year can help. They still got some great pieces over there. I love what Warren Sapp's doing with that defensive line, and it's only going to get better with more players they get into the program and with more coaching. So I think he stays. I don't see him going to the NFL. That's not out. He said it in the past, and I just don't. His style is not fit to be with the grown men. He likes to be with the young men and help mold them into the men they should be and can be.
Yeah, I agree. I think Deion needs to stay. I don't think he should go to the NFL. His son and Travis Hunter is going to be all right in the next stage. Like Musa said, I also think that the NFL, I feel like Deion could be successful there, but I feel like the NFL is not for Deion, especially in this generation. And there's not nothing to knock with these players and what they're about nowadays, but Deion has full control over there in Colorado. And I feel like if, we hear talks about him going to Dallas, like, I don't think he wants to go there with Jerry Jones there because Deion's not going to have control. He's going to need to go to a system where he could actually have full control. And I think he has that. I think he loves that in Colorado. And if it's not Colorado, maybe another college team he may go to or something like that. But he literally bought that university from the ground up, about to bring them to their first conference championship game, hopefully. Just keep it rolling with the Buffs, man. There's no reason for him to go move forward.
Even if Florida State, his alma mater, has a coaching opening this year, you still think he'll stay there?
Given how they shit the damn can this past year, and I don't see a future for Florida State. And I don't really see, Deion could do some good things down there, of course. That'll be great, but I think he's good where he's at.
Speaking of former NFL players coaching, today I read that Ray Lewis is the top candidate to coach at FAU, Florida Atlantic. I love that.
Gig. Yeah. My second favorite Raven. We all know who my first is.
Lamar.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
That'd be great for Ray Lewis. I love that move for him.
Oh, Mike's favorite's Joe Flacco.
No. Played running back. That's all I'll say.
Mike looked like
it goes with chicken.
Yeah.
Chicken and I know.
Shout out to Ray Lewis, man. If he gets that job over there, man, that'll be great. I'll definitely be looking forward to them next season.
Sure.
Don't sleep on USC for Deion either. I think Deion has a future coaching as a head coach in the NFL. He's just not ready yet. I think he could be a great coordinator there, but I think he should stay in college. And if he doesn't stay in Colorado, definitely go to USC or Florida State. I think wherever Shador gets drafted to, if he we'll see. I don't know, because with Tom running things there, I know he's worked with them, but they have a lot to come from the ground up on. He might want to wait a year with the quarterback situation if you want to get more pieces around him. But I think if Shador can prove that he can play in the league years down the road, that's when you go to Dallas. Dak's contract will be up. Hopefully, as long as Jerry's still alive, he's on good terms with Deion, and then you do that thing in Dallas. They are not drafting a quarterback this offseason. That's not happening. I don't know why people are talking about it.
That man, Jerry Jones, still going to be running and owning the Cowboys even in his grave.
Till the day he dies, without a doubt.
Even after that.
That organization is engraved in the Jones family.
Even after that.
His son, and it trickles down. They're going to own that organization for as long as they want. Real quick, I want to go through BYU schedule because we was talking about strength of schedule this weekend.
Yeah, it's gonna be big.
They play Arizona State this weekend, which is perfect because then we could trickle right into Arizona State's schedule right after. So they got Arizona State, and then their last game is against Houston. I think they split those games. I think they lose to Arizona State in a close one, and then they beat Houston.
I agree.
Oh, I thought they played Iowa State. I messed up. Okay, well then if that's the case, yeah, but I could still see them losing out, man. They've had close calls against teams they shouldn't in a few of these games, like Utah.
Nah, Houston's mud this year, bro.
Yeah, no, I agree, but you just never know. That's that last week. Like even I believe it was Notre Dame or Notre Dame playing USC that final week with Jordan Mailata taking over the quarterback role. He might try to prove something to be there next year, and they're a team that really has nothing to lose. So you just never know in the last week of the season. Some guys want to go out on a high note, especially it might be the last games of some of these kids' careers.
Sure. Moving on, we're gonna get into Arizona State schedule. The shout out to the Sun Devils. James Harden might pull up to a game if he can. Alumni. But we're gonna move on. We have, of course, they had the BYU game, and then the last game of this year is of the regular season. I'm sorry, is against Arizona at Arizona.
I got them winning both of them.
Yeah, and Arizona kind of shocked me this year. I thought they was gonna be a lot better than what they was, but I think Fafita, he's only a sophomore this year, I believe, right, or junior.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Arizona State. I got them winning now easy.
One thing with Fafita, I will say, I had really high hopes for him this year. I thought he was a top quarterback, but he's got that similar build to Bryce Young. He's not that tall, so I don't know if he can really play at the next level. And McMillan, they went to high school together, so he's always had him to rely on. But we saw in Arizona they can't win with just those two guys this year. So I'm curious to see what Fafita does next year, and I think he has potential to be a high draft pick. Will he pan out in the NFL? I don't know, but I had high hopes for Arizona as well. I had a ton of futures that I bet on them, and none of those came even close to cash, and they were dead halfway through the year, but very disappointing season for Arizona.
Definitely. I agree. Moving on, we're going to get into our regular schedule programming with the college football bracket. We're going to talk about who we got advancing as it stands right now. So we're going to work from the top to the bottom. The first matchup, we got BYU and Ohio State. I think this is a no-brainer for all of us. I probably agree we are going to go with Ohio State on this game.
I got it on blowout. I don't think this would even be a competitive game.
Yes, sir. I agree.
Cool. Next, we got Roll Tide.
They're going to roll they behind past Notre Dame.
Yeah, they're gonna beat Notre Dame in my opinion.
Yeah, Jalen Milroe, he needs to redeem himself from last year against Michigan. I think they won over Notre Dame. That's if either one of these teams get into the playoff. Who knows? Because one thing we got to remember too that's starting to throw around, some of these SEC teams like Ole Miss, they're scared to be in that championship game because of what happened to Georgia last year. They're undefeated and get a loss, and then they are out on the outside looking into the playoffs.
Yep,
that's a very good point. Very, very good point. Next up, we have Georgia and Penn State.
I got Georgia.
I got Georgia winning that game.
I got the Nitty Lions.
You can't be serious, bro. After
yeah,
all the shit you talked about them.
I got Georgia wet in the bed.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm no
Carson Beck throws the game.
I think Penn State loses to anybody they play in first round out of this whole bracket here.
But you better hope there's 2 feet of snow up in Happy Valley.
They're gonna be shivering out there, and Beck's gonna lose the game for him. You heard it here first, y'all. If that comes true. Next up we have Ole Miss, Indiana.
I can't even judge Indiana until I see them play Ohio State this week. So I got to lean Ole Miss, but if they can prove they can play against a team like Ohio State, I'll go Indiana.
I'm going Ole Miss.
Yeah, I will go SEC on this matchup. Messing with some different boys down there.
Yeah, man. Next up, we got Ole Miss in Texas.
I got Texas.
I'm from Texas.
I will go Texas.
Plug gonna be at that game. You know they're gonna go crazy.
Yeah, I would go Texas with this matchup. It's crazy because I think Texas A&M beats Texas this week, and this is going to look different again. But I got Texas.
One thing we have to remember, though, is Texas lost to Georgia, and Ole Miss was able to beat Georgia, too. So if that's a way we can sort of gauge these two teams against each other.
Yeah. I think might happen is Tennessee might take that spot. And Ole Miss or Alabama might slide down to 2.
Yeah, I could see that, definitely.
Point. Next up, we got Georgia and Penn State. I'm sorry, because I got Penn State winning. We got Georgia and Miami.
I think Georgia. Yeah, Georgia beats Miami.
Cam Ward.
He'll show out, but his defense won't.
Yeah.
I think Miami wins this game. As you can see, I'm not picking Georgia for any of these matchups.
It's not just Cam Ward, man. That defense is horrific.
Yeah, let me stop being the bias. Yeah, Georgia will beat Miami.
Kirby Smart plays a different play style offensively in the playoffs.
I'll take Kirby Smart over Mario Cristobal any day of the week. But one note I just want to say about Cam Ward, I'm very curious to see how he turns out in the pros, because he missed a wide open guy last week or 2 weeks ago against Georgia Tech, where that would have won them the game. I know he was getting pressured in the pocket, but I think he's probably the top quarterback prospect this year. But even then, I don't know how he's going to pan out, because it was rough at Wazoo before he went to Miami.
Fair enough. Moving on, we have Alabama versus Oregon. I'm going with Bama. You already know how I feel about Oregon.
Coin toss game.
Yeah,
I don't think it is. I think Bama runs away with this.
I'm going to go Bama with this one in a tight one.
Yeah. All right. Both of y'all pick Bama?
Roll Tide!
I'll just stay with it, not to go against the grain, because I don't know. I think Oregon could definitely struggle against a running quarterback, but
Origami?
No, I know I said that
Oregon.
weird.
Okay.
Yeah, Oregon.
Oregano?
Yeah, but Alabama, they Kalen DeBoer, he was just in the playoffs last year. Milrose been there. He has the experience, so we'll see what happens.
For sure. And last but not least, we got Ohio State versus the Boise State. I got a Sean Genty. I'm going to keep saying that. I've been saying for the last 2 weeks. He had an Ezekiel Elliott moment. And this time, from what the standings are, they ain't got to go nowhere. Ohio got to come see them. So I got Boise State winning this game.
Yeah. San Jose State was much closer of a game than it should have been. I know they beat them by 21, but that game was a lot closer than that. I got Ohio State in a landslide.
Yeah, I think the last 2 games with San Jose and Nevada, they're no match for Ohio State. Gentry could have 300 yards, and that's still going to get blown out.
Nah. Don't say that. Because if he has 300 yards, they ain't losing that game.
What if they have nothing in the passing game?
If he got 300 yards, they won't need a passing game.
Ohio State is going to beat them by probably 17 plus.
One thing we got to remember with Ohio State is they do have some significant injuries I heard on their offensive line. I believe it's a center and a guard, so we'll see how that plays this weekend, but that's something to keep an eye out for as well.
Yes, sir. Moving on, we got Ohio State versus Alabama. I got Bama.
I got Ohio State in this matchup.
I'll probably go Bama the way
I would have
what's
come.
up,
Hey,
Ty?
Ty, you're not slick. We see the picture change. We see the picture change. What happened to the GQ picture?
No,
now my boy, like, he ready for the pool party.
He heard my comment from last week. What's good, Ty?
Ty says Ohio State will beat Bama. I'll stand on my own like I stood on my own.
It ain't going to be no Roll Tide, though. That's going to be a lot closer.
Roll Tide.
Listen, I ain't going that far.
Listen, y'all ain't want to go that far when I said the Pats was going to beat the Bears. Y'all want to go that far when I said the Colts was going to beat the Jets.
The
wanna go that
Pats or
far.
the Bears
Bills are
ain't
gonna
no
beat the
Ohio
Chiefs.
State or Alabama.
Listen,
That's a
Bama
bad
is going
comparison.
to beat Ohio State. They don't have an answer for Jalen Milroe. You heard it here first. If they play,
Bama could probably beat the Jets or the Pats or the Bears if their locker rooms
I
torn
can't go
apart
that
enough.
far. But I will say Bama will find a way back in this championship game. And Jalen Milroe will get his revenge.
I'd lean Bama here, to be honest with you. It's another toss-up game. It's going to depend on health, but Ryan Day, he's sort of cracked in the past with Ohio State in big games, so I'll lean
Hold on,
Bama.
Mike. Say that one more time.
What Ryan Day is?
He did what?
He's cracked under pressure in the big
Okay,
games.
that's what I like to hear. That's why I ain't picking him. I don't believe in him either. I said it last week. They not moving the needle for me. No, prove me wrong. Until then, I ain't vouching for you. So yep, I got Bama. The rest of you guys got Ohio State, correct?
I'll take Bama.
So we got a split. Okay, we're gonna move on though. Next game we have Georgia versus Georgia versus Texas.
Got Georgia. They already beat him once.
Yeah, I got Georgia.
I don't see them beating them twice. Texas.
It's crazy because Georgia keep getting knocked out, put back in. Still got them going to the national championship. I'm sticking with my pick. I didn't have Georgia all year, despite the 2 losses. I still, if this was to happen today, I got them being Penn State, Miami, Texas again, losing in the national championship though if they play against Alabama.
I just don't see Texas losing twice to Georgia in the same season. So for that reason, I'm going Texas.
Yeah, yours was just coming off the injury then. I think it was either his first or second game back.
First game back.
Yeah, but it's funny. One thing I've noticed is last week, I forget who we picked to go in, but now that I think every time that Georgia's been in this bracket, we've picked them to either make it to the championship game or win so far.
For sure. So it looks like I'm outcasted. It's okay. We got Georgia versus we can go back and forth because it was a split. So hypothetically, Georgia versus Bama. Who y'all got?
I'm gonna keep it straight up. I think Bama wins this one in a close one. I'm still gonna rock with Georgia, in my personal opinion, but for realist sake, I think Bama would beat them again.
I got Georgia. Bama came out of the gate hot when they beat him, and they couldn't do anything after that other than that last drive. So I think they figured out something about their offense, and they'll exploit that weakness again. I got Georgia. I know Musa ain't picking Georgia.
Georgia. I got Georgia winning this game. If Georgia is in the natty with Bama, I think Georgia wins the game. This is where the buck stops for Jalen Milroe. I would love for him to right his wrongs, but I don't think he has a chance against Georgia's defense. And I'm picking Georgia solely off of their defense and everything but Carson Beck.
I was gonna say because they not winning with that man at quarterback.
I'm picking everyone but Carson.
Man is
the reason why they're gonna win.
His draft stock has fallen so much in the past month. They were talking about him being the number 1 quarterback, number 1 pick. I think he's projected to be a third, fourth rounder now. Yeah, I never saw it.
I never ever thought he was better than Shador. So I don't know where the hell they was getting that from. But Cam Ward also came out the woodworks. But the 2 best quarterbacks in this draft is by far Shador and Cam Ward.
Mike, you think Shador better than Beck?
Yeah, I really want to see. A part of me actually hopes.
Hold on, layout. I want to hit it.
A part of me actually hopes Colorado gets into this playoff. I want to see him. I want to see Shador go against an SEC defense and see what happens. Because I know Beck gets criticized a lot, but he's been doing that his whole career. Like I know Shador had good success at Jackson State in the FCS, and he's had good success this year. But he's got the best wide receiving core in the country. A lot of people rank around him. So let's see how it goes. And I'm curious to see what he has when he doesn't have this talent around him. But I don't really see his game transferring to the next level. One thing, because of the way he's built, I don't think he's really built like a quarterback. And then I don't see it with him, man. I just don't see it.
I'm not buying what you're selling. I'm not buying what you're selling. Hold tight listening to this because this is coming from the same man.
I'm consistent on it, though. I may look like a fool.
You guys watching, I hope you like and subscribe to the channel. If this is your first time watching us, either on the football PICK6 platform or Grade A show for basketball on Saturdays, one thing if you don't know about Mike is consistent on what he say. If he's wrong, he'll man up on it. But don't let him be right. Don't let him be right. You ain't gonna hear the end of this. Mike has been consistent when it comes to Colorado and Shedeur Sanders. Now we'll give him his props though, y'all. He has given Colorado credit, even though he had him win only 4 games. But
I'd win 2 actually, but
see, there we go. See, I was trying to.
Yeah, you had the Pats winning 1 game.
I had the Pat winning 0 games, bro. 1. Come on,
I'm telling y'all now, when Colorado got stomped by Nebraska, Mike was unbearable. The Texas I would get. Matter of fact, last week, first play of the game, Shedeur pick. I looked up, Mike already in the chat. Hey, Musa, did you see what Shedeur just did? I'm not even know it was on yet. I was doing something else. No. I was like, listen, Mike is unbearable when he's right.
They got some good players there. It's just I don't see it with him. I think LeJounte Wester is going to be one hell of a receiver in the league. I think Travis Hunter, he's going to be, if he chooses to be a wide receiver, he's going to be in the top 3, if not a number 1 receiver. I just don't see it with this kid.
What about my boy Jimmy Horn?
He's got a lot of work to do, man. I'm telling you. I'm not saying he can't get there, but as of right now, I think he's like, I don't know, 6th rounder, 5th rounder at best, maybe undrafted. That doesn't mean he can't be good.
Pittsburgh, go get him.
Yeah, I could see.
I bet you he'll look good in Pittsburgh with George Pickens.
One thing I want to bring it back to what you said, Mike. I do want to see what Colorado does if they make it into these playoffs. If just say for instance they swapping the slot with BYU, I want to see what that offensive line and Shedeur does against that Ohio State defense because it ain't Shedeur, it's that line to protect him for him to be that. And that's the thing I'm afraid of is that offensive line. The defense, I think, can handle their own because they're based around speed. I think they'll be okay. But that offensive line is what I'm afraid of.
Definitely. But we're gonna move on real quick. I got some questions for you guys. We're gonna keep it in college football though, for sure, before we get into our picks and whatnot. Who you guys think is I'm gonna ask Mike first. Who you think is the best quarterback in college right now?
So are we going just solely downright best or has the most potential, just downright best?
Who's the best quarterback in college football?
I personally think it's Cam Ward, but I know Gabriel has the numbers, but I think he's a product to that Oregon offense. And even Cam Ward, I got some big questions about him when he gets to the NFL because a lot of stuff that I see him doing now, it's not going to look good, especially if the Giants draft him. It's I don't know. I think this is just a weak quarterback class in general. Like a few years ago, we had Kenny Pickett be the number 1 pick. It's not as bad, or number 1 quarterback taken off the board. It's not as weak as that, but it's up there.
Okay.
One kid I'm high on, though, is Lenore Sellers from South Carolina. He's only 19. I think he's going to be in a few, probably, I believe, it's either next year or the year after, whenever he comes out. Him and Nico Imaliava should probably be in the same class. I think Lenore has a very bright future, South Carolina.
Hey, so?
It's Shedeur. I really don't need to speak on that. Cam Ward may have the numbers, but he doesn't look like the best QB in college football. Ain't really nothing to speak on that. Ewers has been in and out of the season. There's really nobody else out there. I mean, Gabriel in Oregon is not – it's the team based around him. So I can't give him full credit. Right now, it's Shedeur.
Who you guys think is the best wide receiver in college football? I know who I got. People don't talk about him enough. But he's not on a big household team. Oh, before you get to that, can I even answer the Shedeur? I ain't got no watch on right now, but you understand what I'm picking up. I said that wrong, but whatever. Long day.
Yeah, I pick up what you're putting down. I got you.
Yes, sir. I got Shador. I think Shador's the best quarterback in college football. What his ability to do, I know he has the best weapon in football, but what he's able to do despite the O-line's inconsistencies, and they have been better as of late. He's continued to put up numbers. His reads is good. I wasn't gonna go second to none yet, but he's really elite in college at the college level when it comes to making his reads, going to his progressions, and keeping the play full along to get the receivers a chance to get the ball and make a play. So I'll have him slightly over Cam Ward.
That's what I was going to ask you guys. What do you think? What are his top qualities? Because I don't know. It might just be me. I just don't see it. I know the stats are there, but when I look at him, the eye test, it's just I understand he's got a pretty good mind for it and the accuracy, but short of that, I just don't see it. He's 6'1". That's another thing too. 6'1's not tall for an NFL QB, and you gotta be elusive when you're 6'1", and he's not really all that quick.
He knows how to read defenses. He's good at making his reads and going through his progressions and reads. That's one of the strong qualities. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but he has a good enough arm to make the throws and all the safe throws that need to be. He's not a stick. He's able to move in the pocket, move outside the pocket. He has great awareness, good feet in the pocket. It could be better. But those are some of the qualities that I noticed with Shador. Ty just made a comment. He says Shador's the best QB. He has McMillan as the best wide receiver. Okay, we're gonna touch on defense too. Right? Defense seems like it's a forgotten thing in football lately. But we not on the Pick 6 show. We talk about all sides of the ball. So we're gonna get into defense in a moment. For sure, McMillan the best receiver. I can't be mad at that. I mean, if you want to count Travis as a receiver, you could put him. I'm probably gonna lean to him towards defense, but we'll get there soon.
I know you said he's not a stick. That's the one thing how I say he's not built like a QB. His lower body is extremely strong, and that's why I don't know if I feel like he'd be better suited almost in another position with the way he's built like that. He almost has a similar build to Ashton Genty when you look at it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Not mad at that at all. But those are some of the qualities that I feel like gives him the slight edge over Cam Ward. Cam Ward, obviously, stature-wise, is much bigger, but I think he'll still get it done.
One person I want to throw out there for wide receivers that a lot of people forgot about, and I think
his
still
name.
Who?
What team college is he on? Just say the college.
Trust me, you're not thinking about him. San Jose State.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Dick Nash. What are you talking about?
He's averaging 161 yards.
Leading the nation in touchdowns with 14. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I know ball, brother. That's what I'm going with.
I think he's going to be successful in the NFL. He's going to be pretty solid.
God damn it, you took my pick.
He had 3 games where he had 485 yards this year, 8 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns. My apologies.
My boy was already doing homework. That's why he was so quiet.
I've actually just started researching him when I seen them play last week against Boise State and to see what he was doing in that game. Yeah, he's pretty solid.
He got a running mate that's just as good too, and Justin. But I guess because you took Nick, I'm gonna go Bowling Green's. I guess we could consider tight ends in this too. So I'm gonna go with Bowling Green's Harold Fannin Jr. He's got over 1,100 yards in the season. He's probably the only weapon on Bowling Green. I like what he's doing. I don't know where he's in though, so I'll have to look up because I think he got maybe one more year left. But I like what he's doing over there. Is he gonna stay in Bowling Green is the real question, but that's definitely someone I'm invested in, and I'll try to watch more of it. It's just this Bowling Green, like I just can't. But shout out to Harold. Who you guys got for defense? If y'all want to get into defense, we can.
Well, I think honestly, just to touch on the wide receiver, I think Ricky White at UNLV, he's a great receiver. I'm curious to see if he transfers to Steelers, but my defense and wide receiver pick's the same. I think it's got to be Hunter. Like this guy, I know a lot of people say he's a better cornerback than wide receiver, but on wide receiver, he looks like Justin Jefferson with the way he jumps and catches the ball and does everything. Like I think he's a once in a generation type talent. Like we look at past two-way players, we've seen like Charles Woodson. There's been a couple others like Ty Law. Those guys don't come around too often, so I'm gonna lean just both on him.
Yeah, my defensive players, I mean, it's kind of a ton this year, but one person that stands out to me, of course, Georgia native Malachi Starks, the safety over there, Caleb Downs in Ohio State.
I think Caleb Downs is going to be a first-round pick.
The other one person I want to point out, too, from LSU is, what's his last name? I know his first name's Harold, the linebacker over there. Harold, I think Parkins or something like that.
I don't know much of the LSU defense. I don't know.
I know we on calls, but I just want to give my dog a quick shout out. I know y'all heard what Garrett Wilson said, who some of the best corners in the league were.
No, I actually didn't see what he said.
He mentioned PS2, Pat Surtain. He mentioned Snead, Gardner. But he also mentioned my dog up in New England that people don't give enough credit to, Gonzalez.
I think people give him too much credit, man. I ain't gonna lie. He's good, but he's not as good as people say he is.
I don't know, man. Tape and stats say otherwise. But we're gonna get back to this. My picks for college defensive player, obviously it'd be Travers for sure. But I'm gonna go a different route. I'm gonna give some other players a little that people might not notice. The linebackers out of Buffalo, those linebackers, man. Sean and Red Murdoch, Sean Dolak. These guys have been monsters on that defensive end. Sean got 3 picks, 4 pass deflections. I love what they're doing on that defense. They're playing some high-end ball this season, so I want to give them some shout-outs. I think they're some of the better or best defensive players in the league right now. So
I ain't watched one lick of Buffalo this year.
They play tonight, right?
What was that? I'm sorry, Mike.
I think Buffalo plays tonight, actually.
Yes, they do. Nick Anderson, the DB from Wake Forest, is another good one that I like. I like his game a lot. But those are some of the guys. I gotta do some homework on some of these guys because at some point down the line on the show, we're gonna have a mock draft. So we're gonna have to do some digging and see who fits where. Obviously, we ain't gonna do all 7 rounds. That probably like the first 2 rounds, and then like 3 or 4 in the next episode down to 4. But we'll talk about that as we get closer to that day. But that's it for the brackets and some of our favorite plays in college right now. Moving forward, we're about to get into our last segment of the show, and that is our picks for tomorrow's game in college football as well. So, Mike, without further ado, you can take it away.
All right, we got 3 college games and game tomorrow night, as Musa just said. So the first game we'll go with is Indiana at Ohio State. Ohio State is laying 13. Ty has Ohio State straight up, and I'm going to go Ohio State straight up as well.
I will too.
Same.
All right. Next game we got is BYU at Arizona State. Arizona State is -3. Ty is BYU straight up. I'm going to take Arizona State -3.
I'm going to take ASU with the points.
I'm going to go Arizona State straight up.
All right. You said you wanted them with the points, Pesa?
Yes, sir.
Next game, last college game we got of the ranked teams is Army at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is minus 14.5. Ties Notre Dame straight up. I'm going to take a minus 14.5. I think this is going to be another bloodbath just like against Navy.
I got Notre Dame with the points.
Notre Dame straight up.
All right. So the game tomorrow night is Steelers at Browns. Steelers are minus 3.5. It's going to be terrible weather for this game. 40s, 20-mile-per-hour winds, and rain and maybe snow, just as a heads up to y'all. Ty has the Browns by plus 3.5. I'm taking the Steelers straight up.
I got Steelers straight up.
I got Steelers straight up, too.
All right.
Damn, Wendell Carter Jr. is not playing. Messed up my slips.
It's okay. You'll get the void.
Yeah, now it's up to everyone else to hold their weight.
Yeah. Some other games, so I guess we'll say if you got any Musa or Peso as well to look out for this week. I like Michigan State over Purdue minus 13.5. I think Purdue's one of the worst teams in the country. Alabama, Oklahoma. Alabama's, I believe, minus 13.5. I think Oklahoma sucks. Another game I got. I gotta look here. I think Kansas is live against Colorado to upset, as we said earlier. Those are just a few games I got. I don't know if you guys got any.
Real quick, what's the point spread for the pick'em?
You're in the lead with 247. Clips is at 246. Myself and Peso are tied at 204, but Peso did miss a week and ties at 203.
Damn, I missed the week and I'm still there.
Yeah, bro. Shit's been rough for me and Ty.
It ain't been rough on this side. Clips need to leave me the hell alone.
He's got to send me his picks, by the way, too, Musa. Sorry, Peso.
Nah, you good. I think it's a couple games to watch out for. You got Ole Miss at Florida, SMU at Virginia, which I don't think SMU is going to lose that game. I just think it's going to be a lot closer than what people think. We got what else we got out there?
Illinois Rutgers, I think that's another one I forgot to mention. Illinois minus one's a steal.
Watch out for Penn State and Minnesota. I think Penn State still wins, but I think that might be a little scare game. Of course, we talked about Colorado and Kansas, and I think that's about it. Every other game is pretty mid.
Yeah, I don't have any games. I do have some props that I do like for today and tomorrow. Chris Boswell over 1.5 field goals made. I love that prop.
It's an ATM.
Definitely considering the weather. I love that prop. Liberty versus Western Kentucky. I like Liberty +4. Today I like, even though with Wendell being that might hurt it, but I do like France under his PRA. Points, rebounds, and assists. I got it when it was at 39.5, so it may have been bumped down or up depending on how things went. And I did like Jared Allen over points and assists at 14.5. That also got bumped depending on what lines and betting apps you guys are using. So that was some of the things I like. As far as Wendell Carter Jr., let me see if I can still see, even though it got cut off. I like his points and assists. I lowered it on some of the backups I use at 10.5. Got blocked considering that he's not playing. Also like him on his points and rebounds with 7.5. I do like Josh Hart over points and assists at 18.5. Nevada versus Air Force minus 6.5. Nebraska versus Wisconsin. I like Nebraska minus 6.5. And Alabama versus Oklahoma. I like Oklahoma +7.5 for the first half. Oh, and Jalen Warren over 2.5 receptions.
One thing I want to point out, though, for the game tomorrow, if anyone is betting, if you think the the weatherman guys doing the forecast is a dummy. Bet the over on the player props. You can get wicked low numbers for receiving and passing on both the quarterbacks, and receiving for Judy Pickens. They're all numbers are wicked low, and that's based on the weather. So if you think the weather is going to be not what the weatherman says, you should take advantage of this opportunity. And one game I just forgot to mention too is that Texas A&M and Auburn. I think they'll cover the 2.5 point spread.
For sure. Well, we got some good things coming up for you guys soon, so stay tuned on the PICK6 show and the Grade A show. We'll be back on Sunday at 11:15 for football, and we got a good show coming up this Saturday at 12 for basketball. Man. Everyone watching, make sure you like, subscribe, tell a friend and tell a friend. Thank you again for supporting us. Continue to support us, and we'll see you guys on the flip side, man. Everyone have a great rest of your night. See you guys soon. Peace.
Grade A.